I want to make sure we're recording. So just give me a second to make sure that we are in fact recording. Yes, we are. So here I am with Mark Redner. It's Bruce Firestone and Mark Redner. The date today is the 28th day of May, 2020. And what Mark and I are trying to figure out is a strategy for what you can see on the screen here, Village Vianatur. This recording, Mark, will be downloaded to my computer and then uploaded to YouTube unlisted. So the only people who will see it will be you and me and anybody you give the link to. You may never give the link to anyone, so it's just confined to me and you. So it's not public. You understand?
Yes.
All right.
Wonderful.
So what you can see on the screen here is a beautiful piece of land. It's called Village Vianatur Lac des Sables. Notre-Dame-de-Pontmian in Quebec. How far is that from Montreal? Do you know?
Montreal, I believe it's an hour to an hour and a half.
So you're within 90 minutes of Montreal. One thing we know about Montrealers, you know, I lived in Montreal for 5 years, and of course you know Montreal as well, is they love mountain biking, hiking, swimming, skiing, snowshoeing, snowmobiling, and a million and one other sports. They're really active outdoors people, and they love the cottage life. Even in the time of COVID-19, if people are able to get out into the wilderness and out into, you know, the beautiful country that Quebec is, certainly in the summer months, as well as the fall and the spring, Montrealers will do that. Not that long ago, Mark, I went to Oka, Quebec, and yeah, I went there, you know, to climb, to do a little bit of hiking myself, and you know, on a typical summer weekend, there will be 5,000 vehicles with mountain bikes who come to Oka to go mountain biking. There'll be, you know, 10,000 Montrealers there swimming, barbecuing, mountain biking, and having a good time. And certainly when COVID-19 hopefully passes, we'll see it again. So as I understand it, a company called First Unity has leased this land to a man by the name of Gilles. And Gilles has asked you, Mark, to help him with the project, correct?
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
And so the first question is, do you know how many acres or hectares this land is?
Yes, I believe that is somewhere, and I can get that. Okay, so it's one of the things I sent to you. I actually translated into English.
Yeah, but just as an approximation, do you have any idea how big it is?
I can text him.
That's okay. No, we're just, you don't need to do that. We just know it's a big piece of land. There's no question.
It is. I mean, it goes from 2 bodies of water. I mean,
yeah, it's a big piece of land. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Are there any existing facilities there, or is it just a vacant piece of land?
There is, like they have restaurants and different places like that. And there's walkways and a bunch of things like that.
Do they have any cottages there now?
That's something that I couldn't ascertain. I believe there must be some somehow this has been able to be set aside. What happened was the logs, they were supposed to stop sending the logs down, and so you can't really, it's not a great place with logs in the way. So they delayed and delayed and delayed, and eventually now it's free. And so that's why Gilles wants to move on it now. And
okay. We're just trying to get the lay of the land here. All right.
Yeah.
So what we have is a big piece of land with maybe a restaurant or two, a few walkways, maybe a few cottages, a couple of bodies of water, but basically it's not really very well developed.
That's right.
All right. And if I understand it correctly, Gilles would like to put, I think it was 120 cottages on this property.
Correct. That's right.
Right. And this is his lot plan here.
Yes.
All right, so he'd like to add 120 cottages with the lot plan that you see on the screen here.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, let's go to the next one. So he's got a number of phases, I guess, and probably different chalets, different sizes, and different layouts.
That's
and
it.
He's got a little bit of, roadways here. You can see what he's showing. All right, and we'll go to the next slide. And I guess this is D is the principal chalet, so that's probably a big chalet. And this is a bit of storage, I would guess.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, he really needs somebody to come and get that chalet. Like, that would be the draw.
Right.
But, yeah.
All right, I get that.
Yeah.
And then we look as he adds more, cottages and more development here, studios, casitas. Everybody knows what a casita is, and things like that.
Yes.
And then we see here what he has in mind. Now, I'm guessing these are modular and pre-built, correct?
Yes, they are. Sure.
Okay.
Correct.
Do you know who the builder is?
I do not. I was talking to him, and when I suggested about that you might have some, he said, "Oh, I've really done my homework on this or whatever," but he didn't say no.
No, it's okay. I mean, look, yeah. I'm just trying to understand what.
I'm just saying that that's all that I know about
right.
These particular ones. He wasn't about to tell me where he bought them. He buys them at that point for some reason, but eventually we'll know.
Yeah, eventually you'll know. And then here's some more layouts and cottages. They're definitely modular homes. And one of the issues you should know about modular homes is that in principle, they should be less expensive than stick-built, but often they turn out to be about the same cost. The real reason, Mark, that people use modular construction isn't really because it's less expensive. In theory, it should be, but in practice, it often isn't. You have to build them in the factory, transport them to the site, prepare the site, put the modular home on some kind of a footing and foundation, connect all the services. And by the time you do that, it's not a whole lot different from what it would cost you just to stick build them. You know what I mean by stick built?
I do.
Yeah, okay. So, but the reason they do it, there's usually two reasons why they prefer modular homes. One, the quality is probably a little bit better because they're made inside. Canada has terrible weather for 6 months and beautiful weather for 6 months. But if you're building stick built, you're often out there in the winter time, early spring, late fall when it's really cold. And so, things tend to warp a little bit, and maybe we cut a few corners because we're freezing. So quality generally is better. That's number one. And the other thing that helps is speed. All right. So they're much faster, because once you've prepared the footing and foundation, you've got all the services to the site, as long as you've done the scheduling properly, they just plunk it on top and basically within a few days you're done. So it can be much quicker in the field. So speed is important, and quality, of course, is very important. Now, the issue that usually, I'll just show you some other designs so it's on the record.
Go for it.
So usually the problems with these communities, if I'm just back up a little bit, is that the cost of services are very, very, very high. All right? I don't have to tell you that putting roads in and water pipes and sewer pipes and handling stormwater, rainwater, making sure you've got good internet, because that's pretty important today. So the biggest problem that these projects face are very, very, very expensive infrastructure. And that can cost, depending on how many buildings you're building, it can cost millions of dollars. And one of the things you shared with me is Jill has lots of equity, but not a lot of cash.
True, true.
So how was he planning to pay for all the planning costs? Because, you know, it costs a lot of money to do all the studies. You know, you got to do the water studies, and you've got to demonstrate to the Ministry of Environment in Quebec that you can handle the wastewater. How is he planning to pay for all of those studies, all of the engineering, let alone putting the actual stuff in place?
Yeah, yeah. And those are the types of questions that I wanted to push in. You know, unfortunately, we're at that phase where, you know, I know that Frank is putting something together so that we can get some information. Ultimately, we need to know who is the person who's gonna, like, is it Gilles, or is it a company, or does he have somebody else?
So I'm going to give you, if you don't mind, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would really help you and would help me as your coach to know
Yes.
is, how big is this piece of land?
Yeah.
We know that he wants to put 120 cottages on there. How much is the infrastructure going to cost? You know, the roads and the services and the utilities and the internet. How much is the engineering and the design and the planning approvals going to cost? And how is that going to be funded? Because usually that's the toughest part.
Yeah.
Because let's say, for example, you had these 120 lots all serviced, all ready to go right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then your job as the leasing guy or the sales guy is a lot easier, right? Because you
Absolutely,
don't have
sure
to
is.
spend the next 2 or 3 years, all of the planning, all of the studies, all of the design, all of the infrastructure being put in place. People often underestimate how hard that is and how expensive it is and how long it takes. So that's the first thing. Now I'm going to stop sharing this screen with you, and I'm going to share with you another screen here. And I'll just show you something if I can find it. Let me just see if I can find it.
I think in some ways the idea of the boats may help to open.
Yeah, we'll get to the boats,
Yeah,
but we should
but
deal with one thing. Oh,
no,
sorry.
but what I'm saying is I understand the complexity of it for
Yeah,
sure.
I know you do, but I want to show you.
But I'm listening. I want to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to. Well, I hope so. So I'm going to show you a similar model, but different.
Okay.
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 This. Go away. This. Do you know Parkbridge?
No. Where's that?
Parkbridge is a company. It's not a place.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And Parkbridge is, I think, the largest cottage park operator in Canada and one of the largest in North America. And you can see these models, they're quite similar to what we were looking at a few minutes ago, right?
Yeah, nice veranda.
Nice, you know, and these are modular homes as well. So they're similar to what Gilles has in his mind.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to show you was just how brilliant their model is. So if you don't mind, write down Parkbridge, and you can find it online. You can just search for Parkbridge communities. They have retirement communities, family communities, cottage and RV resorts. You can see it on the screen, right?
Yeah, I do.
And the way it works is that Parkbridge owns the land, and they lease a lot to you or me or somebody else. Okay, it's called a land lease. So if Gilles has a master lease, he can be, as long as the master lease permits it, he can enter into subleases. He can become a sub-landlord.
Yes.
All right. So Gilles has a lease from First Unity for that property, and he has 120 lots that he has created, and he can lease those to people like you or me or somebody from Montreal who wants to have a lot in this location within 60 minutes or 90 minutes of Montreal. So let's go to the next slide. It just shows you the kind of resorts that are out there, and they tend to be very popular. By the way, with this model, Parkbridge went from 0 locations to, I think, 120 communities in 20 years. That means they were doing 6 a year on average.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's amazing. And you can just see more shots of what they have. I mean, some of them are quite nice, you know, but they're not, you know, it's not a $5 million Muskoka cottage, right? I mean, it's,
for sure.
You know, but what we're doing here, what I saw when you sent me this stuff, what you're doing in Vianatur, maybe I didn't say it right, but what you're doing with this project is not appealing to people who have the budget to have $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 million cottages. Those people you don't have to worry about; they can take care of themselves. But for everybody else, this is quite very enjoyable, a lovely thing to have. So here's the model. This land is owned by Parkbridge. The roads and water and sewer and stormwater and utilities are provided by Parkbridge. So Parkbridge has put all of that infrastructure in place, and they paid for the land. And what they do is they lease you this site, and you pay, you know, $500 a month, $600 a month for your lot, plus you pay for your utilities, just like you would in your house. You know, you probably have to pay your water bill every month, like I do. You have to pay your electricity, your natural gas, right? Unfortunately, you have to pay for internet these days, and it's pretty expensive. So let me just keep going though. So I want you to write this down, okay? Because it's important for you. The cost to service each lot is between $40,000 and $50,000. It's not cheap. All right. So by the time they have put all the services in place, it's cost them up to $50,000 to make sure that they've got everything in place that you would need in order to enjoy your cottage to the fullest. But here's the magic of the Parkbridge model. You can only buy a modular home from Parkbridge. They don't actually make them. They have somebody like Gilles has somebody who's making them for him. So here's what they try and do. Say Bill and Jane come along, or Maddie and Joseph come along from Montreal. So Marie and Joseph come along from Montreal, and they are going to buy a nice modular home and put it on one of the lots that Gilles owns. He is going to try and make a lift of between $40,000 and $50,000 on every modular home he sells. So going back here to this picture, so Marie,
40 to 50.
That's what he's trying to make.
Yeah.
So Marie and Joseph, who bought this, they actually own the house, but they don't own the lot. The lot is leased. It's called a land lease, but they actually own this. So, but they can't bring their own. They have to buy it from Parkbridge, or in this case, they would have to buy it from you and Gilles. And Frank. And so think about this, Mark. If they can make $40,000 or $50,000 lift on the sale of the house, and it costs them $40,000 or $50,000 to service it, they essentially get the lot servicing for free.
So, okay, so the 40 to 50, so he's looking for the money for all the amenities. What did you call it again?
Services.
Services, yeah. Okay.
So, assuming the land cost nothing, which is not correct, but assuming you could get the land for free, Parkbridge has all of the cost of, or most of the cost of the servicing paid for through the sale of modular homes. So, think about this model for your project. You sell 120 modular homes, and you make, say, $50,000 on each one, you know, profit. And it costs you $50,000 to put all the services in. It means if, say, you get $500 or $600 a month for each lot, that's the land lease. So we'll just multiply 120 lots times $500 is $60,000 a month of land lease income. Plus, you make a margin on the utility. So when you sell them power, you sell them internet, you sell them gas, right? You sell them water, you're making a little bit of money on the utilities as well. But just on the land, you're making $60,000 a month, and that is essentially pure profit. And that has allowed Parkbridge to grow explosively, because if you can build out your communities for basically zero money, then you can have, you too could have 120 Parkbridge communities in 20 years, 6 a year, because it's like having an ATM where you don't have to put the cash in, you only take the cash out. I'd like to have one of those in my backyard.
Yeah.
And you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I think is in Gilles' mind is the Parkbridge model. I'm not sure about that. I've never met the guy.
Yeah,
but the Parkbridge model is probably the most profitable real estate business model I've ever seen. And I just wanted to show it to you here.
That's amazing.
This comes from their website. Since 1998, this is just Parkbridge. You can see it's just parkbridge.com.
Okay, yeah.
Since 1998, we have expanded from just 2 properties with a few dedicated employees to close to 100 residential and RV camping and cottage resort properties and 1,100 passionate employees across Canada. And I think that was in 20 years. Yeah, they did that by like 2016 or 2018. So in 20 years, they went from 2 properties to 100, and they went from having a few employees to having 1,100.
Wow, wow.
But that is what a business model does for you. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. So that is the Parkbridge model. And I think as long as Gilles has the capacity to put the services in, etc., what you would want to do, I think, if he wants your help, is you would want to be involved in 2 aspects. 1, doing the land leases, and 2, doing the sale of the modular homes, because there's a lot of money in that. So typically, if I'm a realtor, I don't think you have your real estate license. No, but if you're an employee of a company, I believe, I'm not sure about Quebec rules and regulations, but let's say I owned, you remember I used to own Terrace Investments Limited.
Yes,
yes. We're allowed to sell our own properties without being licensed. Like if you wanted to sell your house, you don't have to go get a real estate license. You can just sell your own home.
Absolutely.
It's called for sale by owner. And if you're an employee, I believe this is correct, but you have to check it with, Quebec has more laws than porcupines have quills. They're very regulated society. It's a distinct society. Isn't that what Mr. Trudeau, the first Prime Minister Trudeau said? And it's true. It's a beautiful, beautiful society, but it's different. But if you were an employee of Gilles, by the way, do you speak French, Mark?
Un petit peu, so very small.
Well, you'll have to practice. But I think what you're saying is that you would be involved in the sale of the homes and the leasing of the land. Did I get it right, more or less?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't clear to me about where things go in the next step when they're selling. Ultimately, right now is closing a lease agreement on these 120. Do you really think that, I kind of shook my head and thought, if they do 120 at once, shouldn't they do it gradually?
Well, typically, Parkbridge would probably, for Parkbridge, releasing 120 lots would not be a big number. When you have as many as they do, I think they could probably put 120 out there without really you know, upsetting the marketplace. But for a startup like this, maybe you might do, let's go back and look at the, at this. So I'm just going to share my screen with you again.
Can you tell me?
So just hang on a second.
Okay.
You asked a good question. So,
Okay.
you know, for example, this might be an excellent phase one. Do you see it here?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
rather than having to put all the roads in and all the water mains in and all the sewers in and all the stormwater works, that's really a lot. You might just phase it, right? That's what you're talking about. So typically a phase would look like this, right? It's just one loop of a road. So that would just be a reasonable amount. And look how many lots you would get out of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks to me like just in this, with this one loop, you probably get 40 lots. So it would be a lot more feasible to do 40 lots than 120 with just one road, and a lot easier to, a lot less expensive and a lot less risk. So I would agree with you on that. Parkbridge would just do the whole thing. They've got the money, they've got the machine. They'll just do the whole thing, in all likelihood. But for Gilles and you would probably phase it.
Yeah, because he's thinking 120 and then go on to phase 2. Which,
well, I would think my recommendation, just off the top of my head, without really knowing enough, would be 40 lots.
Yeah. The strategy that Fred was using, because we still don't know where the money, I mean, and like who has the backing behind it. Is it him, or like based on what he said, you know, he's equity rich, so I have to believe that. So
what you would do then for Gilles is you would, assuming that, say he had $20 million worth of property, he could probably put, you know, a $5 million mortgage on it. And that mortgage is the money you would use to put the services in. But with the Parkbridge model, the nice thing is you can pay it back. Right? So just write down these numbers, okay?
Okay.
Ready? So we're just going to pretend, okay? So we're going to just guess. So we're going to say phase 1 is 40 lots. And we're going to say the cost of the infrastructure, including all the planning costs, planning and studies, is $50K a lot, right? So that includes enough money to pay for some studies and some planning and whatever else, so some design work. So you need $2 million cash to get phase 1 going. You with me on that?
Yeah.
But you're going to sell 40 modular homes, and you're going to sell them for, I'm just picking a number, for $135,000 each. And I'm assuming the cost of each one is $85,000, right? You know, you're buying 40 of them, you're probably going to get them fairly inexpensively, okay? So you're making a profit of $50,000 on each one. And that money goes to pay off the $2 million that was put in up front. Okay?
So the 50K goes into paying off
the 2 million.
Yeah.
All right. So that's that. Now, we're going to lease the land lease for each lot. We're going to say is $500 per month plus GST plus QST, right? Because they don't have HST in Quebec, right?
Right.
They have GST and QST. The goods and services tax is federal, and the QST is provincial. All right? And you've got 40 lots. So that means you've got $20,000 a month times 12 months. It means you have $240,000 per year of cash flow.
How much?
$240,000 a year. So $20,000 a month times 12 is $240,000 a year in cash flow. Okay?
Yeah.
Plus, you're going to retail your utilities. So let's say you can supply water at so many dollars a cubic meter. That's your cost. You're going to add a little bit of a margin. So then make a little bit of margin on tech packages, right? You know what a tech package is.
Yeah.
And they're going to make
what percentage roughly?
So most people are making anywhere from 15% to 100% markups. When I don't know what Parkbridge's markup is, but it's probably, it's higher than 15%, but it's certainly not 100%. So it depends. Some of these communities, and Parkbridge is probably one of them, they can buy power very cheap from Hydro-Quebec. Hydro-Quebec produces power at 1.5 cents a kilowatt hour. There's no place in the world, Mark, that I know of, not Russia, not Saudi Arabia, not Venezuela. There's nowhere in the world that I know that people can produce power for 1.5 cents a kilowatt hour. No, I mean, Ontario is like 24 cents.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, Ontario's crazy. I mean, people in Quebec, they still have baseboard heaters because it costs almost nothing. So if you could buy power for, say, 2.5 cents a kilowatt hour, you could probably sell it to your customers for 3.5 cents a kilowatt hour, and nobody's going to complain. If they move to Ontario and pay 24 cents, and they're going to move back to Quebec in a hurry. So you probably could get a 30% markup without people squawking, but you'll make a little bit of money on your utilities, your internet, your Wi-Fi, your tech packages, your HBO, Showtime, Spotify. You provide it all, and you make a little bit of money on your tech. You make a little bit of money on your gas, natural gas. You make money on your power and water, and you charge for sewer too. So that is it's pretty simple stuff. And if you were an employee and it was legal to do it, you would get paid, hopefully a salary to do it, but also you would get paid, some kind of a incentive fee for every lot that you leased and every modular home that you sold. When I ran Terrace Investments Limited, we provided a nice base salary to our salespeople, but we provided them with good incentives too. So when they did better, we did better, they did better. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So I think that's the model. And if they follow this model, they will make a ton of money. Now, let me tell you what happens. Here's how Frank can help. Frank is a big leasing guy, right?
Yeah.
So there's two different types of leasing that's going on here. One is land leasing, and the other is financial leasing. They're different.
Now, doesn't a lease have to always connect to property?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
You ever heard of leasing a car?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could even lease furniture.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you can. So let me explain how Frank, our financial leasing guru, could be involved here, okay? So along comes Marie and Joseph, and for them to spend $500 a month on a land lease, they can afford that. They get a nice piece of dirt, lovely view, close to the water, life is good. Now they want to buy a $135,000 modular home from you. And but they look in their couch and they don't find $135,000 in cash in their couch.
Right.
They look in their bank account and they say, gee, Mark, I've only got 15,000 in my bank account. How am I going to buy a $135,000 house and plunk it on this lot? Frank comes along and he says, I'll provide you with a lease, a financial lease on the house. It's like a mortgage, but it's not a mortgage because you don't own the land.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's a financial lease. Right? I mean, do you remember back in the day when photocopiers cost like $40,000? You know, rather than buying them, you would lease them, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
They were just too expensive, you know, to buy.
That's how it all.
I got like a little photocopier here. It probably cost $99, but back in the day, they were really expensive. So Frank
And
comes
tax
along.
deductible.
Yeah, exactly. So Frank comes along and says, no problem. As long as you've got, you know, $10,000 or $15,000 down payment, I'll provide you with a financial lease on the balance. So if the modular home costs $135,000 and they put down $15,000, then I'm going to stop sharing now so we can see each other a little better. So what would happen is that Frank would provide them with the $120,000 they need to buy it. They would give you the $15,000 payment, and Frank would give you the other $120,000, and then Marie and Joseph would pay the financial lease back to Frank. And you know, because it's quite a big amount, they might pay that off over 15 years. However, Frank will not want to give them a 15-year financial lease if the land lease they have with you is only for 1 or 2 years, right? Because what would happen is if Marie and Joseph are still paying Frank for his financial lease, and the land lease runs out, in theory, you as the landlord can kick them out, right? And then their modular home may be sitting in a field. It's not worth very much sitting in a field. So typically, the financial leasing company wants the land lease to be a few years longer than the repayment period. Are you following me?
Yeah, yeah.
So typically, I mean, and if I were to come to you and buy one of, rent one of your lots, you know, I would typically want a 20-year land lease, and then I could do a 15-year financial lease on my modular home. So by the time 15 years goes by, my modular home is fully paid for, and now the cost for me to live is only $500 a month, plus my utilities. And of course, your land lease can go up every year. It doesn't have to stay at 500. It might go up a couple of percent every year. So over 20 years, it would be, considerably higher. But the principle is the same. So your land lease has to be a few years longer than the financial lease, just to give Frank, the financial leasing company, the comfort that they need. Now, at the end of the 20-year land lease, what happens? Say you and the other owners, Gilles, maybe they want to redevelop the site. So they say to Marie and Joseph, we're not renewing your lease. So Marie and Joseph now because they own the modular home, they have the right to just come with a semi-trailer, pick it up and move it somewhere else. They own it. And because it's modular home, you can put it on a low rider trailer, one of those trailers that's pretty low to the road so you can get under the bridges, and they can just move it somewhere else, but they own it. Is that clear as mud?
Yeah, it is.
All right, but that is a wonderful project, to be involved in. And if these guys know what they're doing, there's no reason why you can't do 10 of them, right, or 20 of them. I'm not saying you do 100 of them like Parkbridge, but it is one of the most profitable real estate models I've ever seen. And you now have it on a video. So I'll send you the video once we're finished this coaching session. Yeah. You can watch it again. You can share it with anybody you want. It's up to you to share it, though. I will not share it.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you wanted to share it with Frank or with Gilles or with your wife or anyone else, that's up to you.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
The only question I have is it possible to sort of put it into an Excel spreadsheet?
Sure it is.
Okay. Because I was thinking, okay, so purchasing these modular units, but just to do the infrastructure is 40 to 50K cost to Gilles, right? So if he's only increasing it by that amount, he, like you said, he's just covering the cost, right?
Yes, but he gets the land lease payments.
Yes.
So
Okay.
once the 120 lots are built out, and if he's charging $500 a month, he is going to get $60,000 a month. So his income will be about $720,000 a year from this project, plus whatever money he makes on the utilities.
Right, right.
So and most of us can squeak by on $720,000 a year in income. I don't make $720,000 a year in income. You probably don't either.
Yeah, you know I don't.
I'm about this much away from it, and you're probably this much away from
it. Subject to change.
Subject to change. No, you're still young enough. You know, I do this little bit of coaching that I do. I enjoy doing it. You know, and I'm going to do it until St. Peter calls me home. But you know, I mean, as a coach, you know, like I'm a hourly wage worker. Really, I don't make that much money, but I like doing it. I get to talk to people like you and do really cool projects. But you know, I don't make $720,000 a year, and I don't really care to make that. You know, I would never go back to being a developer. I made a lot more money as a developer, as a hockey guy. But you know, the stress level. Can you imagine owning a hockey team or an NBA team today, where you've got all these empty stadiums and you still have to pay all these players? I mean, oh my gosh, I don't envy those people.
So you can be happy, you know, you can look back and be happy that you're not, that wasn't back then.
I'm not that guy. No, and you know, I have a saying that I guess I coined. Don't live within your means. Live below your means.
Yeah.
Don't live within your means. Live below them. You want a less stressful life? Don't live within your means. Live below them. The most stressful thing that most of us go through as human beings in the modern era are financial issues. It's very stressful, and I've had those. You know, I'm not shy about saying it. You know, when you own an NHL team, you're constantly forking out all your money, and so today, you know, living a different. You know, I live in a nice home, but it's a modest home, and it's certainly not even the nicest home in the neighborhood. And the neighborhood is a middle class neighborhood. I'm perfectly happy. You know, would I like to have been a billionaire? Yeah, maybe. You know, but life didn't work out that way for me, Mark. And you know, it is what it is. So in the sunset years of my life, I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing. I feel like I'm helping too.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine who's a millionaire, he said all the billionaires are not good people. He says.
Well, he might be right. You know, people have been asking me for a long time, and I've been asking myself for a long time, is it true that nice guys finish last? And I think actually it is true. But so what?
Yeah.
What's the alternative? You're going to be excuse my language, you're going to be an asshole instead? I don't think so.
No,
you know, I have 5 kids who love me, I think, and a wife who I think loves me. I have friends who love me. I have, like you, I have strong beliefs in God. I feel I serve a purpose, his purpose. I do. And that's got to be enough. And yeah, I would have, I was close to being a billionaire, and then things worked out differently. And, you know, is there any resentment there? Probably a little bit. But, you know, other than talking to you today, I probably wouldn't have mentioned anything about that for a decade, you know. So I just live my life every day to serve, I think, God's purpose that for me, and to help my fellow human being, and to use my God-given talents to the best that I can. And that's got to be enough. That's
absolutely.
all it is.
You know, I mean, ultimately, at the end of, you know, when we get to 100, you know, you know, that 90 to 100, you don't think about, you know, you don't think like I should have spent more time in the office, or I should have, you know, you don't think that at all. You know, you wish you'd spent more time with God, more time with family, and more time with friends.
And even though I've had some obviously some downturns in my career, I do think God has been looking out for me. I do. You know, like when things have been really difficult for me, you know, back in the mid 2000s, I lost everything: the house, you know, the big house, the fancy trips, the fancy cars, you know, all kinds of that. I mean, I had nothing. You know, you know, God laid out a different path for me, and the path now, as a, you know, a professor, and then as a real estate investment and business coach, has allowed me to help. You know, I have over 100,000, well over 100,000 readers of my blog now. Which doesn't, you know, that's not a really big number. You know, if I was Katy Perry and I put a you know, a video on YouTube, it gets, you know, 500 million views. I mean, obviously I don't get that, but I am really moving the needle in terms of helping people start their own personal businesses for life, and to give themselves an opportunity to have some real estate investments that will help them and their family for 3 generations. I am moving the needle. Like I didn't realize how much until really the last few months, when people all over Canada, the United States, have been coming to me in the hundreds and now in the thousands to learn more about what I'm teaching, which is to take care of yourself and your family by owning your own personal business for life. We have over 40 million Americans who've lost their jobs in 2 months.
Yeah, crazy.
And we've had 7.2 million people on the CERB benefit, the Canadian Emergency Response Benefit. 7.2 million Canadians in 2 months. And you know, I've been preaching the stuff that you and I have been working on for the last 3 months for 7 or 8 years, and really longer. And now people are they're just, oh my gosh. I mean, I could work 28 hours a day. You know, 8 days a week. Isn't there a song, 8 days a week?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the Beatles had a song, 8 days a week.
It was the Beatles.
Yeah, it was the Beatles. 8 days a week. I you know, because people have found me now that Jesus, the stuff that I've been talking about for a long time now, people are saying, "Wow, that guy was right." And so, you know, so it's not possible. I'm having to turn people away, and I don't like to let people away. But it is really biting. Can we talk about the houseboats now?
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to say this is, you know, you're like me. When I went to Africa, something changed, but you went from feeding one person, yourself, to feeding many.
Yep.
That's it. That's the big thing.
That's the big thing.
Let's face it. The business was all about us, right? You know. But you're helping so many people. I think God is definitely part of that. And yes, I'd love to hear about. Oh, you said 700 a year. Was that based on the 120 or 40?
So if he has 120 lots when it's fully developed, and he gets $500 for each lot per month as a land lease, he will make $60,000 a month, which when you multiply that by 12 is $720,000 a year.
Okay, nice.
And that's for Gilles. For Frank, he will have 120 financial leases on, you know, each of them being about $120,000. He'll make a lot. You know, Frank will make a lot of money. And for you, you should try and get 3% of every sale. So if you sold 120 modular homes at, say, $135,000 each, you would have sold $16.2 million worth of modular homes over the next, say, 3 or 4 years. If you get 3% of that, that's $486,000 over the next 3 or 4 years for you. That's just from the sale of the modular homes. But on the land leases for you, you should ask for half a month of the land lease for every year of the lease term. That's a very standard number. So it means that if you do a 20-year land lease, okay, which would be typical, you would get $250 per year for 20 years, but it would be paid up front. You would get $5,000 for that land lease, and you would do 120 of them. So you would make another $600,000 in incentives from doing the land leases. Do you understand that?
Okay.
So you would get 3% of the sales, and you would get half a month of the land lease for each year of the lease term, which would typically be 20 years. Mm-hmm. And if the land lease is 500, half a month is 250, times 20 is $5,000 up front, not over 20 years, but $5,000. Every land lease you give Gilles, don't forget, he's going to make a fortune here. Here's the land lease. It's signed for 20 years with Marie and Joseph. He owes you $5,000. And if you did 120 of those, that's $600,000 for Mark. And if you sold 120 modular homes and you got 3%, that would be another, what was it, $450,000 for you. So you could make about $1 million in incentive earnings over the next 3 or 4 years by helping the boys out. You're going to have all of this on video, so you can go through the video and you can write it all down again if it's a bit of a mix.
Actually, that part even there, if you can put that in an Excel.
I'm not going to do the Excel.
Not the Excel, but can you put it into just a point one?
I'll do it again, but
yeah.
But you know, you are going to do the Excel, and I will check it.
Okay.
Okay. So you have to do the work, but I will check it so you don't screw it up. You won't screw it up. You'll get it right. So we'll do it again. So if you sell a modular home to Marie and Joseph for $135,000, you should get a 3% incentive payment. You can't call it a commission because you're not an agent.
Yeah.
You call it an incentive fee. And that we paid that to our employees. But you have to, in Ontario, you certainly have to be an employee to do this. Otherwise, you'd have to go get your real estate license in Quebec. And if you do that, you have to do it in French. That's tough. Okay. So if you're an employee, if you know, they put you on a payroll and they give you a little bit of a salary, then I think it's perfectly legal in Quebec to, you know, for sale by owner, basically. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. So you sold a $135,000 modular home to Marie and Joseph, and you got paid 3% of that. So 125,000 times 0.03 means you get $3,750 for selling the modular home.
Right.
And that payment comes to you from Frank, the financial leasing guy. Mm-hmm. All right? So Frank pays that. Now, you've also signed a 20-year lease with Marie and Joseph for the lot, right? And that was for Gilles. And he's going to pay you half a month's rent for every year of the lease term. So that's $250 goes to Mark as an incentive per year. But there's 20 years. So when you multiply 250 by 20, you get $5,000. Mm-hmm. That's paid by Gilles to you up front. So for every land lease that you do and every modular home that you sell, you're going to get $3,750 from Frank and another $5,000 from Gilles. So on every one of those 120 lots, you're going to get $8,750. And when you multiply that by 120, you end up with $1,050,000. Now you're going to need to have an assistant or even 2 assistants to work with you, and they better speak French. And what really helps, with all due respect, is to have a young man and a young woman who are very nice looking, because that does help, who speak beautiful French, who would be your assistants? right?
Interesting. Interesting. I the lady that was speaking into my life, um, she wanted to support a ministry or anyway. So anyway, long story short, she's French. Just interesting thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, Quebec is very French now. Well,
Yeah.
50 years ago, 75 years ago, if you were English speaking, you could pretty much get along anywhere in Quebec. But now, in certainly around Quebec City and
Yeah.
many of the parts of, they really don't speak much English.
Yeah. They couldn't care about English. It
No,
seems
no,
like.
they want to run their own show, and what the heck? Why not? Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. It's like you and me. If somebody is a Muslim or a Hindu or a
Mm,
Buddhist,
mm,
I mean, the days of hating people because they didn't believe what you believe, I think
mm.
those days, at least for most people, are over, right?
Absolutely. I
I mean,
think
you
so.
don't hate somebody because they're a Buddhist.
Well, I don't hate anybody, so.
No, I don't think you do, and I don't either. To me, there are only you've heard me say this before. There are only two types of people on the planet: good people and bad people.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're white or black or yellow or red. I don't care what
Mhm.
their religion is. Are they good people? Are they trustworthy people? Do I like them? And
Yeah.
do I
Yeah.
trust them? If I do, that's it. That's all that matters to me. I don't give a
For
rat's
sure.
behind if they're whatever their religion is. I don't care about sexual orientation either. When I was a kid, I went to an all boys school. We were ignorant. We didn't know any better. And if you were a gay person, you really got it. You were picked on brutally. I went to a military school and it was terrible. And I didn't know any better. I had to learn all of that afterwards, we thought women were stupid. We thought gay people were weird. And we had
Mhm.
all kinds of, it's military school and we're boys, all boys
Mhm.
school. And
Yeah.
we had to learn. I mean, most of us had to learn because our parents, we hardly ever knew our parents, right?
Mhm.
My mother, as you know, was an alcoholic, and
Yeah.
my dad was never around. So
Mhm.
you have to learn all this stuff as an adult, and I don't apologize for that because there's no way to know that you're ignorant if everybody around you is ignorant,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And we didn't have a pastor like you to talk about peace and love and
Mhm.
tolerance and diversity. We didn't have anybody like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
we definitely went down the wrong path. And some of them stayed down that path. Some of those people I don't associate with anymore because they're terrible. They
Yeah.
never changed. But I learned that all the things that women can do and not to, all the other stuff. But we had to learn that as young adults and as adults because we had nobody to teach us.
Hmm.
So people are lucky to go to one of your sermons and to learn from you. I mean that, Mark, to learn about diversity and acceptance.
Yeah. I love the fact that I've touched a lot of people. So,
You
and
have, you have.
and you know what? You've done the same for many as well.
Yeah, but I be honest with you, I always wanted to be a preacher.
Mhm.
I did. I've always wanted to actually stand in a pulpit and give a, because I have strong views too, but that's not for me. You'll do that. So can we talk about houseboats now?
Absolute houseboat. I got it written down.
All right. So what are we going to do with houseboats? What's the question there?
So basically, 15 units. I mean, 15 boats,
Does he actually
and
have them now?
I don't know that if he has them, but basically he is wanting to move on that one. I think that might be even easier.
Definitely easier.
So it could get things moving. So the houseboat, Fred, the only thing he said is that, there's some issues with, like if they created a wave and wrecked another boat or something, but you know what?
That's what insurance is for.
Yeah. So he said I wouldn't worry about that, and that this is probably even more doable. It is.
So do you know what the houseboats look like?
I didn't get a copy of.
Do you know what they
Oh
call?
yes, actually I did get something. I just didn't click on the link. Uh, but uh, but yeah, so that only come in this morning. Um,
All right.
and so yeah, so I'm going to Let me see. Okay, yeah, I can send it to you.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I just opened my email. It's thinking.
Yeah, and I think there's a, I didn't click on the link, but there is a link that would be helpful.
Well, we're going to look at it. Did you send it to me now?
Yeah, you should have it.
Hasn't
Oh,
come
it
in
says
yet.
messages, so it's right in between.
Really? Where?
To,
Oh, here it is. Here it is. I got it. I
yeah,
got it. All
okay.
right. All right. Let's have. Oh, here we are. All right. So the houseboat. Whoa! I know these houseboats. They're beautiful.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah. Hang on. I'll share it with you. Share my screen here. Yeah, one of my clients was looking at these. Are they built in Europe? I think they might be. Sleep up to 15 people. Oh my God, look at these things.
Hey, I just went out of that. Where is my picture of you?
Can you not see it?
Can
you see my screen?
No, I went out of, I clicked off it.
Okay, so look down at the bottom. You'll see like a little blue and white camera. It looks like a little old-fashioned video camera. Click on that. Look at the bottom of your screen. You'll see like a blue and white square with a little video camera in the middle of it. And just click on that.
A video camera. All I have is Zoom and a little.
It'll be at the bottom of your screen, right at the bottom. You know, in the bar at the bottom of your.
On the right side?
No, just the bottom of your screen will have a bunch of icons. It'll probably show, you know, like you know, it might show Google Chrome, you know, it might show your file folders. Are you on a Windows computer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on. Maybe I'll just.
No, I'm going to send you I'm going to send you something. This should start blinking at you. You should see a little orange light.
Oh, here I am. Okay.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see you now.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at that boat.
Look at that boat. Oh my gosh. So it's a beauty. That's not a cheap boat.
Huh.
Look at the size of it. It's 60 feet long. Oh my God.
Massive.
Massive thing. Oh my God. That is huge. Well, there's your cottage. You don't need no, that's it. It's got everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That is fantastic. So look at the cost of the damn thing. Do you see it here?
$336,000.
Yeah. Okay. You can order 2 of them for me.
2? You take 2?
I'll definitely take 2. Are you kidding? It's like the value of my house. Not quite.
Wow.
It's almost, that's expensive.
Wow.
But these are beautiful.
They are. For that kind of money, I hope they are.
But here's the issue in COVID-19. You know, people are not comfortable sharing those things now. You know, so what I might suggest is you look for something that is $150,000 rather than $336,000. It won't be as big as this. It won't sleep 50.
Right.
But you know, before COVID-19, there are business models that you and I could wrap around this thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. There are some beautiful houseboats that you can buy for $150,000.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. I mean, but no, they're not 60 feet long. But these are just too big. You know, like I mean, you know, this is not for a family. This is for a vacation. You know, look at this. If you look at my screen, it says houseboat vacations, right? This is last year, your family, my family, your kids, my kids, their friends, your friends, our friends. We all get up there, you know, we might have a few drinks, it is true. And today I think it's legal to smoke weed, so maybe the kids are smoking a bit of weed. It's a lot of fun. I get that. That's not COVID-19.
No, it's
So,
not.
so what you should do is you should look at. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. No, I can do that. I'll see if I can find. Uh, I, one of my clients actually has a line on a houseboat that is absolutely beautiful. Just give me a second and see if I
Oh
can.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll see if I can
Okay.
find it on my computer, because he has. Oh yeah. Oh, geez, I found it. This is amazing. This one is definitely made in Europe. Uh,
Okay.
it's called the Caravan Boat. So if you don't mind writing it down, caravanboat.de. DE stands for Deutschland.
Yeah.
That's Germany. And it is absolutely beautiful. And this guy is like a fanatic when it comes to this stuff. And I've got some better pictures. So I'll send you this.
Yeah.
He priced them out, and it was. I'll see if I can find. Yeah, these are all. Give me 1 second. I think I have. I have some other stuff here because he priced them out.
How many kids sleep in it?
We're gonna go and look at it. Just give me a second here.
Okay.
Well, he did a lot of work on it because he is an avid sailor. So and it was definitely not anywhere near this kind of cost, but it's obviously not as big either. But it's beautiful. We'll see if it pops up here. So here they are. So it's obviously smaller.
Yeah.
I think they have it in English. Here we are. Just go into the English side. So it is. You can pull it on a trailer.
Yeah.
It has a toilet, a shower, air conditioning. It could sleep 5 people, and which is, I think, more reasonable. And it is absolutely stupendously beautiful. I think they have a video here if I can find it. I mean, it's really pretty, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice.
See if I can find the video. And you
When
can.
you hovered over a trip, I thought I saw a video or something.
Yeah, I think there is.
Right
I've been working since 4:30 this morning. I'm teaching that pivot course.
Oh yes, yes.
And so I had a class today, so I hope it comes with the girl too.
What?
Here we are.
There we go. It's certainly movable.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it's more manageable both financially and but it's typical German engineering, Mark. It's not going to fall apart in 2 months.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's just one option. I'm not saying you should buy these, but Randy, who's who did the investigation, he is a quality guy. He is an avid sailor, and he until COVID-19 hit, he was going to buy, I think, 2 or 3 or even 4 of them and dock them at the Britannia Yacht Club so people could rent them from, go out for a couple of days on the Ottawa River, which would be really nice. You could pull up to Elmer, go to the pub there. They go downtown to the, on the Quebec side to the museum, and then come to the parliamentary precinct. You can go up through the canal. I mean, it's a houseboat that will sleep up to 5 people, and it's quite small compared to the other one. But there may be something in between that might be better. So what is the plan? Your plan is to put them into the water. You planning to put them in this summer or what?
Well, He's hoping for this summer.
Well, you better get going.
I know.
Because summer starts like now.
Yeah, exactly.
I
You,
mean,
you could easily be out there right now. I mean, it's so
definitely.
hot.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know what the temperature is today, but yesterday was pretty hot.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's assume that you could find a boat that you and Frank like for $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
I do think though that has to be something that goes to a single family. It's just the days of sharing stuff are over for now. People
Mm-hmm.
just are
Mm-hmm.
not comfortable. So you and your family would be comfortable with that. And I'm going to send you the stuff that I've got from Randy on the Deutschland boat. But just in terms of a spreadsheet, I'll just again share my screen with you. Uh, if you have a boat, for you buy it for 150,000 Canadian dollars, and you have a 9%, if Frank is leasing it at 9% and it's repaid over 12 years, that's pretty typical for these things.
Mm-hmm.
And they put down a 10% deposit, right?
Right, right.
Which is pretty typical. So not a whole lot of money down. You end up with, so the amount of lease that financial lease that Frank would have to do would be $135,000. So the payment, the annual payment would be, here we are.
So this 10% down, is that going to Gilles or the leasing company?
Oh no, this is all Frank.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is all Frank. I mean, he doesn't really need Gilles. He can just put them in the water. He just needs a place to dock them.
Absolutely.
So over 12 years, it's
Yeah.
135,000, future value is 0. It's Canadian loan. So, for somebody who wanted one of these things from Frank, they would have to pay about $1,600 a month for the boat. I mean, if you really want a nice cottage, this is a perfectly good, alternative to buying a cottage. I mean, even if you don't actually want to go out on the water, you could just go to the dock and
Yeah, exactly.
hang out. I mean, you have a dock and you tootle around and, you can, yeah, I mean, it's your cottage. You're paying
Yeah.
1,500. It's like having a house, right? Only it just sits on the water. Now, one of the advantages of the Deutschland boat is apparently, Randy Irwin, who is looking at that, apparently you can actually put them in your backyard and live in them in the wintertime. It's as if you had a tiny house. Because it has a kitchen, it has a bathroom. So one of the things that you might do to make this thing more interesting is you might actually, look at a houseboat that you could, in fact, put in your backyard as like a bunkie for your kids. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is like, so you only have certain amount of time, to use it, of course. But
What I'm
yeah.
saying though is that I'm pretty sure that German boat
Uh-huh.
was designed where you could actually put it in your driveway or put it in your backyard and you could use it all winter.
Even in the winter, it wouldn't be too cold.
No, I
Okay.
believe that. I mean, I think Randy told me that. So you
Okay.
use it as a bunkie in winter time, and in the summer, it's your houseboat.
Okay.
Because I'm with you on that, Mark. I would not buy a houseboat in Canada to use for, you would use it for May, June, July, August, September. That's it. You get 5 months.
Yeah, that's it.
You wouldn't put, it might be fun to have it in October, but nobody goes out on the water in October. So it's really only 5 months. So I'm pretty sure Randy told me that houseboat was something that you could put in your backyard or in your driveway and use it year round. That's what I would do with it. I would look for something that's year round, because I mean, people would use it in the, you know, like your kids would, you know, your teenagers would go and live in that thing for the winter. They would, just to be away from mom and dad. I mean, they're still close. They're in your backyard.
Yeah, I'll put the in-laws in there.
I don't know if the in-laws want to go into a houseboat, but the teenagers are infinitely,
Absolutely.
You get your video games going in there, and you have your friends coming over, and they can, you know, I mean, you know, I had 5 teenagers at one point in my house, and they can be a little rowdy.
True.
So if you have the houseboat in your backyard and you say, hey guys, take the party there, you know, because, you know, you and I have to get up in the morning and work. You know, I don't know about your kids, but at least, you know, all but 2 of my kids, 3 of my kids could sleep till noon every day. I don't know, maybe your kids were better, but I mean, I
have one of my daughters sleeps to noon.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not the only parent, but yeah, 2 of my kids are like me. They're up early. You know, my oldest son Andrew, always up and ready to go. My oldest daughter Rachel, up and ready to go, full of beans. And the 3 younger ones, if you didn't drag them out of bed at noon, they might sleep till 1.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. So what else do you want to go over today?
Okay. So I lost my sheet when I came up, but so yeah. Right now, I'm looking at the connection with High Cube Homes, and I sent them another note. I think they want me to pay for the expenses, but ultimately what I was hoping that they would build it, and then we've got a unit, we put it in the, you know, get some advertisements and all that sort of thing, and that's just going to generate the money. And then of course,
one of the things that I wanted you to do was to talk to a leasing company, a financial leasing company, and Frank does that.
Yeah.
So could you do another piece of homework? Like how much does the
that's in my plan.
I know it's in your plan, but I'm just reminding you.
But so, no, I want
talk to Frank, because guess what? The High Cube thing you can do in a flash. So as long as you as long as you have the dough. So so how much is the bunker going to cost? About 25 grand or a little bit less?
Yeah. So right now, but that could be their cost. I'm not sure. So, but no. Oh yeah. So you said US, so it's actually 35,000.
Yeah, but you were gonna strip it down or something like that.
Yeah. So 35,000 would give you a shower and a toilet, a place to, maybe a small place to get food, and a fridge.
That's fine. So let's go with the 35,000. Okay, let's go with the 35,000. Ask Frank to finance 90% of it. All right. So it means that the buyer only has to find $3,500 as a deposit. Okay. So let's do one more little spreadsheet. Okay, just while we're at it.
So there's one thing that I didn't. Yeah, you got it. Or.
All right. So we've got the houseboat. And now we're going to go with the what do they call it, the bunker?
Adopt-a-pod. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Adopt. Oh yeah. Adopt. Oh yeah. That's a better name. Adopt pod. All right.
You made an Excel spreadsheet of it?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So let's say it's $35,000.
Yes.
And again, it's a 10% deposit from the buyer. Okay. Equals this times that. All right. So it means that Frank has to provide the financing of $31,500. Again, assuming that he could do it at 9%, and this one will only go with 7 years. Okay, we want to pay it back a little faster. So what is the monthly payment? The monthly payment is The rate is 9%. The number of periods is 7 years. The present value is 31,000. Future value is 0. It's Canadian. And then we have to divide that by 12. So it's pretty reasonable when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. True.
So you should ask Frank if he will provide. So what happens is that you sell a pod to somebody, you know, maybe maybe the Red Cross, maybe a retirement residence, maybe just a hunter, a fisherman, maybe somebody who has a piece of land, they just want to plunk something on it so they can stay overnight. So you sell it to Mary and John for $35,000. They have to come up with a $3,500 deposit, and then they pay Frank $521.56 a month for 7 years, and their adopt-a pod is paid off. So that's a very reasonable proposition. From Frank's point of view, I mean, you could put a bunch of them on that property that we just looked at, and you don't need any infrastructure. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You just, I mean, you need some kind of a foundation system, but it's not much of a foundation system. And the pods can go everywhere.
Absolutely. And they could contain waste and then, or they could be connected directly to the waste.
But you would want them to be as self-contained as possible. So you would want them, I know the boys can produce, maybe it costs an extra $10,000. So watch this for a second, okay? I'm going to change this number from 35,000 to 45,000. The extra $10,000 is to have, because you know there are toilets where you evaporate the liquids and you put some chemicals in there, and all of the solids, after a whole summer, you've got solid this size. It's nothing. You can just put that in the garbage. So let's say it costs you an extra $10,000 for them to have their own totally self-contained unit. So you've got solar power and you've got a compost, it's called a composting toilet, okay?
Yes.
All right, so let's change this. Now watch what happens. Okay, watch what happens. I'm going to hit the enter key. I'm going to make it 45. Watch what happens here, okay, to this cell. You ready? So to have a completely self-contained adopt-a-pod, $670. Everybody can afford that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right? That, I think, would work better for Frank now. Because by the time you order the houseboats and you deliver it, it's going to be September. You're going to have a 2-week season. But an adopt-a-pod. So they don't want you to pay for it. I want you to sell these but have some financial leasing. And since you know Frank, problem solved. Okay?
So is there anything else you wanted to say about that particular one?
Nope.
Okay. So when I was looking at that, in last month's model, so basically if for example we were going to go and go to the nursing home, and so where they only pay $2 a month, but there's someone else. So I'm assuming that those people are corporate. These are corporate people.
Yep.
And they're looking for, some write-offs and stuff like that, and maybe get notice that they care about the community, right?
Correct.
And I think right now, there's a major 80% of the people who died are basically elderly.
Correct.
So ultimately, grandma and grandpa, could have made it through the storm. If it hadn't have spread through the whole nursing home, like Elmont,
That is correct.
And so ultimately, so right now it's like I'm looking at right now we're looking at that the paint there costs $2,500, and anyways, so I would have liked to actually seen this off the ground, because when I was talking to them, it sounded like they could get it off the ground, and then they say, well, I want you to pay or whatever. It's not even clear.
You were missing the most important aspect, which
What's
is
that?
the financing. That's
Yeah.
why you needed financial leasing. And financial leasing companies are going to really like this model. And
Yeah.
so it's, none of the programs that I have worked on with you is for Mark to reach into his, other than buying some hand sanitizer from China. You can handle that.
Sure.
But all these models are dependent on third-party financial leasing. You know what OPM stands for?
OPM, I used to.
Other people's money. So what I want you to do is I want you to ask Frank to do the leasing. And he's not giving you the money. He's leasing, he's providing the money to Mary and John, or to the retirement residents, or to anyone else who wants one of these things. It doesn't matter who you sell to. Could be the Red Cross. It could be retirement residents. It could be any number of things. But it could also just be to somebody, a Montrealer, who wants to have a high cube home on a piece of dirt, 90 minutes from Montreal. I mean, people love this stuff, but they want something that's their own. So, do you know what Frank's last name is?
Yes. Yes, Glover.
Glover?
Yeah.
Okay. So the sponsorship model that you and I talked about only applies, Mark, where you're benefiting, the older folks, the retirement residences, the long-term care facilities, the healthcare professionals. And that still is a valid model, because everything that I'm told and everything I'm listening to just on TV says we're in for a second wave in the fall.
Yeah.
So whether you're selling this to somebody who just wants to put it on a piece of dirt they own half an hour or an hour away from Montreal, or you're providing isolation units for the fall. Both are good, but the model for the fall would be to have a sponsor, but the sponsors are paying Frank for the leasing. You are not in a position to give high cube homes $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 and speculate. Right. That's not what I mean. You sell them, you provide financing. You and I talked about this before.
They can't even finish it though.
Yeah, they can if you give them the money.
Oh, right. Okay.
But it's not you giving them money.
It's not Frank me. It's Frank giving them the money. Okay.
Yes, Mary and Joseph. Or hang on a second. How many cars, new cars, would automobile companies sell if there was no car financing? Not very many.
Not very many, yeah.
I mean, how many Audis and BMWs and Mercedes and Subarus and Kias and Toyotas and Fords, these cars cost 40, 50, 60, 80. What does a Tesla cost? What does a Tesla cost? It's like 120,000 Canadian dollars, maybe more. I don't know. Yeah. I'm never buying one. But, even Tesla, which has, presumably very nice cars and very expensive, they provide financing. So if you don't have financing, this is something I'm a little frustrated, not with you, but I'm a little frustrated with HiQ because they don't understand you can't sell 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, $100,000 items without providing financing. You just can't. I mean, there are always a few rich dudes who can write a check for a $350,000 houseboat. They just write the check. But there's so few of them in Canada, it's vanishingly small. That market is, in the United States, it's a bigger market, or at least it used to be. But in Canada, how many of your friends can write a check for $350,000, Mark?
Yeah, I like the model. I mean, I don't think that. So there's two models right now that we're looking at in that sense. The one you just wrote up right now, and the one last month, and both of them are viable. I know.
Both are great.
And yes, they are. I mean,
but
you really
need to talk. Remember, I wanted you to talk to some financial leasing companies, and here you are a month later telling me you got a Frank.
So I have a Frank only just last week.
Yeah, so, but perfect. It's perfect. I mean, you and I talked about it. You walk, and the path appears.
Yeah.
That's what has happened.
It's true. That's what's happening. And you know what, Len and Patrick can do what they do, make them, and I'll lease them. You know.
Mark, I'm telling you, of all the models that you and I have dealt with, the
Yeah.
best model for you, the easiest model for you, one I would actually like to do myself if I had the time, is this model, because it's the rail car leasing model. Remember we talked about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. The
Imagine
rail
if you
car.
had, imagine if you had, 500 of the damn things out there, you know, because eventually you'll be able to afford to buy some on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So let's say you bought one, you put it on a piece of land, and you rented it to somebody. Once the price of the unit is paid, all of that cash flow goes to you. And if you had 500 of them out there, and it might take 7, 8 years to pay off all of that, you've got them rented out to people. Once you've got 500 of them out there, and you're renting them for, say, $700 or $800 a month, or whatever the number is, you're making $40,000-$50,000 a month. That's your retirement income forever. And that money will just roll in every month forever. It is a wonderful model for you, and I don't think you should give up on it. And now,
I'm not giving up on it.
A week ago, Frank magically appears, or God puts Frank in your path. You should have that discussion with Frank.
Absolutely. But now my son has already talked to him about it. So he was looking at it. He was just basically saying, well, I'm putting it to zero. He was like looking at that, but then also about what was the so with the lease, my son was talking to me also saying, if we go with this if you go with this model, you'll be selling a lot. So you have to sell monthly leases all the time, in the sense that not selling leasing, but selling the corporation.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to. I mean, that was a model specifically designed to help long-term care facilities, hospitals, medical professionals, healthcare professionals. Yeah, absolutely. That yes, you will be selling sponsorships forever. Jacob is right. But the other model, where you're just selling them to the public, where they, how many people, I can tell you, Mark, how many people have pieces of land with nothing on them, lots. Clients of mine are always, I tell them not to do it, but they are always buying, they get some piece of dirt. Oh, listen, I can buy this piece of dirt in rural Quebec for $30,000. Oh, okay, what are you going to do with it? Well, I don't know. Well, it's kind of dumb, like that's just an expense. I mean, I got enough expenses. How about you? Do you want to have more expenses just for the sake of having more expenses?
No.
No, me neither. So I do think there's a wonderful model here, and you need to think it through a little bit more, because you haven't fully internalized it. But I'm telling you, the opportunity to have a good relationship with the land, Patrick, and to try and get 500 of them sold, some of them sold, some of them leased, some of them to the original market we talked about, but some of them just to the general public. That is, I tried to explain it to Bob Belvedere, my friend who was on Amazon. He didn't understand it, and I'm not sure I got it across to you either, which is my fault. That's not your fault. That's on me. I'm
mostly.
Your coach. No, I'm your coach, and I'm supposed to explain these things in ways that you can understand them and act on them. And in a way, that's a bit of a failure from this 3 months that we've done together. But I want you to continue to think it through. And you asked me, what is our continuing relationship after the coaching is over, which is over today. You have access to me through email and texting. I don't have enough time to do Zoom meetings like this. I just don't. I'm going to follow. I do much more. But I provide, as a free service to everybody I've coached, a free email and text support service. So if you're stumped on something, you can't figure it out, etc. The one thing, though, that I would ask is, if you wanted me to jump on a Zoom call with you and Frank, for example, or you and Jill, or you and Patrick and Lan, I would ask you to pay an hourly rate. It won't be very much, but it would be something.
Okay.
So if you need any additional like Zoom calls or meetings or consultation, I am there for you, but I will charge you something. It won't be very much, but I'll charge you something. But
You
I
got a
provide,
number?
beg pardon?
You got a number?
Yes, I normally charge $350 an hour, but for the people I've coached in COVID-19, I've reduced it to $175.
Okay.
So if you need, if you said, Bruce, I'm going to jump on a call with Frank. I'm not sure I can really explain the model properly. I need you I'm there for you.
Yeah.
But I'll charge you $175. And what I would do if I were Mark, I would tell Frank, excuse my language, but Frank, you're friggin' paying Bruce for that. It's not coming out of my jeans. I'm going to have my coach on here, but you're paying the freight, not me. So I would make him pay the $175 plus HST. I would. And if he doesn't want to do it, then he's not serious about helping you. But this is a wonderful opportunity for him too, because you could have not just 500 of these units around North America, you could have 5,000 of the damn things. There are thousands of people would have these. I'm telling you, Patrick and Alan, I tried to explain it to them. I tried to explain it to Bob Belvedere.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get it through to you. Again, that's on me, not on you. I just didn't get it across properly. But I'm there for you if you need me. I'm going to charge $175 an hour plus HST, but get the other guy to pay for it. Don't you pay for it? And if Frank could do 5,000 leases for you and make millions of dollars for himself and millions for you, and he can't find $175 for Prof. Bruce, then he's not the right guy.
Absolutely.
One other thing I would ask is, I know you changed credit cards. Would you mind giving me another credit card so I can bill for this month?
Absolutely. And I'm wondering, this pivot, should I go to that?
Absolutely. You don't have to pay anything for it. Are you on the email list?
I think so. So I just click on it?
No. Hang on a second. I got to check whether or not you're on the list. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Pivot is a wonderful course. Now, we've done 3 lectures already, so to catch up is a lot of work. But hang on a second. Let me just check.
But they're videos.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I can send you the videos. They're really good. But hang on a second. I'm going to make sure you're on the list or you're not. Yeah, I think no, you're not. So I'm going to put you on the list, and I am really too tired to do anything more. It's been a long day. So I will send you tomorrow.
Okay.
It is a wonderul course. We've got lots of really great people. You don't have to pay a nickel for it. You've already paid enough. So tomorrow, you're now on the. I just put you on the list. Hang on. And tomorrow, I'm going to send my friend Mark Redner pivot catch up. Right? I'll do that tomorrow, Mark.
Awesome.
And you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, I definitely. I want to definitely get more versed in the whole area, and even
you need some more work. All right. Okay. So good. All right. What else? You're gonna give me a credit card?
Yes, I'm giving you my credit card.
I'm gonna charge you $1 million. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. What? Okay. Shoot.
So yeah. So it's 5191.
Yep.
2302.
Yep.
0201.
Yep.
3448.
Okay.
0820.
And the little numbers on the back?
972.
And the postal code associated with the card?
K7S.
Yep.
0A7.
All right. I'll just repeat it back to you. 5191.
Yeah.
2302. 0201. 3448.
Yep.
0820.
Yeah.
972.
Yeah.
K. And it's a K. All right. So do not be a stranger, Mark. I have really enjoyed getting to know you again.
Yeah, no, it's great. Is there anything that I can do for you?
There is. There is. I the stuff that I'm doing now to help people start their own personal business for life
Mm-hmm.
and 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 provide for themselves and their families for
Yeah.
3 generations is probably the best in the world. It probably is. That's a pretty strong claim, but I think it is the best because most of the Harvard professors out there, they're looking at, where's the next Facebook coming from? Where's the next
Right.
Google coming from? And that's important. We need more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in love with Facebook or Google, but we do need more success stories like that.
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
China you have Alibaba and Tencent.
Yeah.
We need that, but for the average person is not going to start, Facebook or
Mm-hmm.
Google or Alibaba or
Sure.
Tencent.
Yeah.
So the one thing that you could do is I'm probably going to run the pivot course again in the
Okay.
fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that you are connected to a lot of God-fearing people.
Yeah, I am.
And so tomorrow when I send you the 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 pivot thing, one of the things that I'll do is I'll send you um, I'll send Mark a link to the actual pivot course description.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm going to start because I've had a lot of people want to join the course, and I have, other than you, I'm not going to let anybody else in because it's just
Mm-hmm.
too late.
Yeah.
But I'm going to start a waiting list
Mm-hmm.
for the fall, and I charge $100 a month. It's a 3-month course, and
Yeah.
everybody, even people on the CERB benefit, can afford $100. So I
Absolutely.
priced it very low. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work for me, but I wanted to do it because I woke up on Good Friday morning. I think I told you this, and I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted I can help thousands of people. So
Yeah.
if you felt comfortable, you could say, look, Prof. Bruce is teaching pivot. I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably going to do it again in the fall. If you'd like to be on the waiting list, here's his email address, bruce.firestone@century21.ca. That would really help because I really would like, at some point, I'd like to get 1,000 people trained to run their own
Mm-hmm.
personal business for life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be a fantastic opportunity. We've got millions of people unemployed. So they might as look, you and I don't want to go back to working for other people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
never going back to working for somebody else. You probably aren't either. And I think millions of Canadians and Americans are fed up with employers who treat them like crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you wanted to spread the word in your community about pivot, that would be a huge deal for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that would be great. Um, yeah, I think it's something that I'm going to be. I'm connecting with somebody that we're going to be going to Taiwan, and
Wow.
so we mixed, but we're not going there. We're going to go there by Zoom call,
That's
but
the only way.
and but we're going to do business and God stuff together. And so anyway, it just who
So
knows who I might
if
meet along the way,
yeah,
because there's no time and distance with
with Zoom, it's everywhere.
yeah, exactly.
So if there was a church group, an immigrant group, a Taiwanese group that
Yeah.
you wanted me to jump on Zoom,
Yeah.
to talk to them about pivot, I would do that. There's no cost for that. That's just something I'm called to do, and I will
Mm-hmm.
do that. I'm not going to do work for you or anyone else for well, I do some pro bono work, but not for
Mm-hmm.
you. But I will actually, no problem at all. If you need 15 or 20 minutes, I'll jump on a Zoom call and I'll with parishioners, with other preachers, with
Mm-hmm.
community groups, and I can certainly talk. So I'd be happy
Mm-hmm.
to do that. And I'll talk about pivot and why I think it's really important for people to own a little bit of real estate and own a personal business, some kind of side hustle. We
Mm-hmm.
cannot rely on anybody but ourselves right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
All right, wonderful,
It has been
wonderful.
wonderful to talk to you, and thank you for
Yeah,
everything you've done for me.
You know, it's a real blessing, and it's not the end; it's just the beginning.
It is.
So,
And I'm telling you, if you stick
yeah,
with Patrick and Alain, and I know it's a little frustrating, and
yeah,
you kind of, if you need some more help, I'll be there.
yeah,
Talk
yeah.
to Frank about leasing. If you stick with that
Hmm.
model, and you got, if you
Hmm.
could get somehow or other 500 units out there, maybe 5,000, who knows, maybe 50,000, but
Yeah,
500 is a realistic goal for Mark. Mark
yeah.
Redner and his family, you'll help lots of other people, but you'll help your family tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
God bless you.
Too. Been great. Thanks.
It's been great.